Hello everyone and welcome to another devlog video for Homegrown, the casual farming game I'm making using my own engine, and this week I'm going to be implementing the main menu for the game. So last time I started work on the big UI overhaul, which went pretty well, but as I mentioned in the last devlog video, towards the end things started getting a little bit directionless. I was getting bogged down in some small details. So I want to get back on track this week, really refocus and concentrate on just implementing the fundamentals. So there's no main menu in the game at the moment, so I'm just going to be focusing on implementing the basics this week, making fast progress with that, and then all of the little details and the polishing touches can come later. Quick bit of planning to start with, just to properly determine what exactly this update is going to involve. I think that's something I forgot to do with the last update, which is why it ended up going a bit off track. But yeah, this is going to be quite a big update. There's a lot of different topics that are going to be covered here. So I'm going to get right into it and get started with some programming. So, lunchtime on day one of working on this, and so far this morning I've come up with a really basic design for the main menu. Hopefully in the final game it will look a lot nicer than this, but starting with the basics. And then in the game I've started implementing it, so I can press the escape key and that now brings up the main menu, which for now is just a plain background image, and then the logo for the game. I don't have a logo yet, so it's just some plain text, but that'll do fine for now. It is 5 o'clock in the evening now. I just spent the rest of the afternoon working on implementing these buttons. I had to do a bit more work in the UI library code because there were some issues with the text scaling. I needed the text to scale with the buttons so that when the buttons get bigger, the text should scale with them, and that is now working. The play button works. These two buttons are going to lead to other screens with more options, and that's what I'm going to be working on tomorrow. And the quit button also works. So that's it for today. This morning I've been working on the navigation for the main menu, so that's how you move from page to page. So if I click on this button, it takes me to a new page now, and then I can click this in the top left to go back. And I can also go to further pages by clicking the top right here, and then I can use the back button to navigate back through them until I get back to the main menu. So this is obviously all temporary, just to test the navigation, but now that I've got that working, I can start adding the content into these extra pages. So for the rest of the day today, I've just been working on the options menu. I haven't got that far yet. I've got these tabs at the top working, an empty contents panel, and then the back button. And that's it, unfortunately. It's just a bit slow at the moment because this is a new UI style that I haven't used before. So every time I come across a new component, like a button, I first have to implement it and write the code for it. So a bit slow now, but obviously things will speed up as I start to build up a collection of these useful, reusable components. So it's the next day. I'm working on adding the contents to these options tabs at the moment, and I'm not going to fill them all in right now. It's not really necessary at this stage, but I will just add a couple of simple graphics and audio options. Half past 2 in the afternoon now. I've just spent the last couple of hours working on another new UI component, which is this slider component. I was able to use some of the code from Equilinox, so not really sure why it took so long actually. But I'm going to use this now to implement the volume sliders, the volume settings. So I think I'm done with the options menu now. For the audio panel, I just added these two volume sliders to adjust the sound effects, which both work. I will add a third for music when I've got music in the game. And then in the graphics tab, I've just added a single button for now to toggle between full screen and windowed mode. And then the other two tabs I haven't bothered doing yet, they're just not important at this stage. So that is plenty for now for the options menu. These are actually some useful settings that I'll be able to use while I'm developing, and the rest can wait. So I'm done for the day. I need to do some cooking now because I've got some friends coming around in a bit. But tomorrow I'll be moving on to the save game management page where you can save and load your farms. So it's day 4 of working on the main menu. It's all going pretty well so far. It's been slow but steady progress. I think I've done okay at sticking to the fundamentals for now. But today I'm going to really try and pick up the pace and power through the implementation for the options for loading your save files. So I've just quickly thrown together a draft in GIMP for how this page is going to look. So at the top there's the button to create a new farm, then all of your saves are listed here with hopefully enough information for you to be able to identify which save is which. And then you can select one of those saves, and then at the bottom are the options to either play or delete that file, and maybe even see more information about that save. So very simple, sticking to the basics. And I'm going to get straight into implementing it now. It's already lunchtime now, and again, I don't feel like I've got that much done, but UI work always seems to take a bit longer than expected. So let me show you what I've got so far. I've got the new farm button, but that's not doing anything yet, and then the content panel, which is currently empty. Then I was also doing some work on the save slot backgrounds. These are a bit tricky because I need them to be able to scale, but without stretching the texture in any way. So to do this, I split it into 3 parts. These 2 outer parts, which always maintain their aspect ratio, and then the middle part, which is the bit that can actually stretch, because that bit, it's not noticeable when it stretches, but the 2 outer textures always need to maintain their aspect ratio. So it's the end of another day, and the layout is coming along nicely, but I still haven't started work on the functionality, so none of the buttons actually do anything. I spent a lot of time this afternoon working on the scaling of the UI when you change the display size. So now you can go as crazy as you want with the aspect ratio, and the UI still looks okay. I mean, it doesn't look great, but I don't think anyone's actually going to be playing the game like this. It's just for situations where if you quickly move the screen across so you can see behind it or something, I just didn't want it to all overlap itself and look really glitchy. And it doesn't. Everything's still nicely laid out, and it's all still usable. So that's good. I've been realizing though there's a lot more to do with the loading game page. So I'm going to have to work extra hard tomorrow. It's 12 o'clock now. It's been a productive few hours this morning. I finished all of the layout and I started work on some of the functionality. So the back button now works. These 2 buttons at the bottom are grayed out if none of the save slots are selected. Initially I tried having them invisible and making them only show up when you select one of the saves, but I felt like that left quite a lot of empty space down the bottom. So instead I've got them shown but grayed out. And then when you select one of the saves, those buttons become active again. So I'm going to stop for my lunch break now, and then this afternoon I'll be working on the functionality of these 3 main buttons. Started off by getting the delete functionality to work, and I still need to add some sort of confirmation here so that you don't accidentally delete your saves, but other than that it's all working nicely. The slots all slide up to take the place of deleted slots, which I did by just calculating the ideal position of each slot, and if it's not there then it slowly gets moved towards that target value. Next up, I did spend a little bit of time working on the background image, which I shouldn't really be doing at this stage, but it does look better, so I forgive myself. And I also did some work getting the load button to work, so you can now load up your save files. And I also made sure that it can handle errors during loading correctly. So for example, this save file here is corrupt because I've been tampering with it. I went into it manually and just deleted some of it. So if I try to load it, it won't be able to, but it doesn't crash. It just tells you about the error and then provides you with a button to go back to the menu. Finally, just did the options for creating a new farm, which for now is just a text field where you can enter the name of the farm. And luckily I'd already made this text field for the city builder, so it was pretty quick because I didn't have to make this from scratch this time. So yeah, this all works and you can now create new farms. So that's going to be it for the main menu for now. It's actually a couple of days later since I last filmed, so you can see I've made a few more tweaks to the main menu. Just been trying out a few different styles and generally tidying it up a bit, but there is still quite a bit more that I need to do, so we'll have another look at this next time. Before I finish, I want to say a big thank you to the top Patreon supporters, who are Marais, Shadeless Fox, Kimo Tamio, Coda the Tyler, Ross from 2 Minute Tabletop, Nikat Asgazada, Zanil Ambakar, Atomic Code, Walden Yan, Me the Pig, Chris Naismith, Alan Lance, Wonoff, Dieter Reinert, Harry Chung, John Needham, Christoph Hubho, Adam Farkas, Hagen Vingard, Matthew Connaughton, Andrew Witt, Marek Mikolajczyk, Sean McCrory, Caffeine Coda, Timothy Gibbons, Alexander Chavez, and Neil Blakey Milner. So a massive thank you to you guys, and of course to everyone else supporting me over on Patreon. For this week though, that is it. So thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you all again next time.